Hey folks, Sally Riggs here, psychologist, fellow long hauler, and your long COVID coach. And today I have a little bit of a different format of a video. Hopefully you like it. A little bit more personal. I wanted to talk about purpose. And purpose is so crucial for our recovery. If you've read my book or taken my course, you will know that I did some work around purpose right after I initially did the Safe and Sound protocol back in 2021. And that's really where I got the idea for this long COVID coaching, and I started putting together long COVID coaching services. And doing that work really has been so integral to my recovery. But in recent months, things have been a little different again, and I have been forced to reevaluate my purpose. I've noticed in the last few months that I have been drifting, that things had been a little bit off. And before I went on my vacation in March, I was thinking, well, that's okay. I'll go on vacation, I'll get re-inspired as I normally do, and then everything will be fine. But in actuality, what happened was I got back from vacation and things were even worse. I could barely get out of bed in the morning. And I don't mean our usual not being able to get out of bed because of fatigue. Physically, I feel great at the moment, but motivationally, I am just really dragging. And that first week back was really hard, and I noticed some low-grade depression and find myself thinking, what is going on here? I need to reevaluate. I need to figure out what is going on that is basically making me feel so unhappy. And I wouldn't be honoring my nervous system or my recovery if I didn't take the time to figure out what that was. And sadly, the reality is that this doesn't feel like purpose-driven work anymore that is motivating. And it has absolutely been a huge privilege and honor to work with individual long COVID clients, to be a part of their recovery, to witness their recovery, and the numerous people that reach out to us about our content on YouTube or other social media platforms have sent me wonderful comments about the book. All of that is enormously appreciated and definitely motivating. However, on a daily basis, that isn't what running this business is like. On a daily basis, it's a battle with an administrative team trying to get them to do things that they're supposed to be doing. Most of my day is spent micromanaging and following up on other people's work, and very little of it is spent coaching. A lot of my time is spent feeling very angry when admin teams are not able to do the things that I ask them to do, or they don't deliver on time, and understandably that creates a great deal of nervous system dysregulation, which I constantly have to be dealing with on a daily basis. And then of course there's also the complaints from clients. Now, to speak to the admin piece first, I've been very transparent about this, so you will have heard me talk about it before. In the 2.5 years that I've been running this business, I have hired at least one new team member probably every single month. And finding people who are competent and are able to understand the work that we are doing has basically been impossible. I have tried US-based people, offshore people, I have tried teams, I have tried individuals, I have tried agencies, I have tried people who have lived experience of disability. I have tried people who are able-bodied. And I thought I had finally found a team that were understanding and were capable of doing the work that I needed to do. And then these last few months have just been constant transgressing my boundaries, blowing through deadlines, and it's just exhausting. And I don't know what the difference is. Is it something about the nature of this coaching business that needs more hands-on support than the 3 other successful businesses that I have previously run? Or whether it's something about the fact that I started it when I was still partway through my recovery and so I needed a lot more support than I had done previously, or whether I now am refusing to work 20 hours a day and putting my nervous system first and trying to structure a business that supports my nervous system rather than depletes it. I am so bored of saying the phrase, I have brain damage, and not having people understand what that means. And I am so fed up of being clear on when I'm available, when a deadline is, and then having those boundaries be transgressed over and over and over by administrative staff. Who knows? Maybe it's something about me, maybe it's something about the current climate in terms of people looking for administrative work, but the answer is, after 2.5 years of trying every possible permutation, I think I'm okay to admit failure. And the bottom line is that no matter how well-meaning people are, we all know that people who don't live with long COVID or ME/CFS or another chronic illness just don't get the reality of the world that we live in. And I understand that. I have also hired people of lived experience, and the difficulty that I found there is that typically they haven't done the nervous system work, they take on far too much, they get overwhelmed, they crash, and then they have to take time out, and then I don't have an assistant. And obviously in that situation, I'm not working as their coach, and so I'm not legally allowed to support them, and it becomes very complicated. And then the complaints. I get that working with people who have a dysregulated nervous system means that they're going to have a dysregulated nervous system. And of course, when our nervous system is dysregulated, we are going to be more easily to be irritable or angry. And I'm somebody who is highly sensitive. And at the end of the day, the nasty messages that we get, and you would not believe the things that people have put in an email to my team. Spiteful, mean, hurtful, and it does hurt. And then there's the very real situation whereby in 2.5 years of running this business, I still haven't found a way to make it profitable. In fact, it loses a considerable amount of money every year, and I have been taking business loans to try and prop that up. As somebody who has run 3 successful businesses in the past, you hope that you're just trying to make a breakthrough, and once you do, things will pick up. And after 2.5 years, I think it's fair to say that this is not going to happen, and it is okay to call it quits. And part of the reason that I'm sharing this with you is within the concept of purpose, we do reserve the right to change our minds. We can try something. If it doesn't work for us, if it doesn't work for our nervous system, that is absolutely okay, and there is absolutely no shame in saying, I gave it my best and now I'm going to stop. And so it is with much sadness that I am announcing that I will be closing my long COVID coaching business. What this will mean is that I'm no longer taking any new individual coaching clients. My coaches will not be taking any new individual coaching clients, and we also will not be taking any new group SSP clients. Everybody that has an existing program that they have paid for will still continue to work through that program until it finishes, be that the SSP group or any individual offerings, but we won't be taking anybody new on, and when all of those programs and treatments have finished, then we will be closed. Now, I will be leaving the Recover e-course. That will be available online to purchase if you would like and work through at your own pace as it currently is. I will also be leaving the book available for purchase on Amazon. Anybody can buy that anytime. And I will be leaving the Facebook group there. Now, it may undergo a few changes as I do have a little bit less time to be involved in it, but it's such a lovely core group of people in there that I really do want to keep that and keep that support for all of us, which is important. And I will continue to make a teeny bit of content here for YouTube, for Instagram, maybe a couple of other places. I probably won't be posting as frequently or as religiously on the same day, and the topics on which I post might change a little bit, and will definitely include more about travel and traveling with long COVID, because that is something that I'm definitely getting drawn to as part of my new potential purpose. In the short term, I'm going to go back to my private practice full time to try and pay down some of the business debt that I have accrued here, and I also will be reopening my training and consultation business for mental health particular therapy that I do, which is another business that I'd had for a long time and had just kind of put on hiatus while I was working on the long COVID stuff. And in the long term, I feel like I'm definitely being pulled more towards travel, and as I think more about new purpose and renewed purpose, travel is becoming more and more an important part of that. I think recovering from this illness has really highlighted to me how important that is in my life. And when I moved to the US 16 years ago, that did change dramatically for the worse. When I lived in London, I had 6 weeks vacation a year. I worked for the NHS. When I first moved to the US, I had 10 days. And for about 10 years, I didn't take any vacations. I didn't go anywhere else other than back to the UK to see family. And that is very different than the life that I had been living. And as part of the work that I was doing around building my dream life back again in 2022, I joined a group that helps people learn about points and miles. And in the last 2 years, I have taken more trips probably than the entire last decade put together. And they bring me so much joy and so much excitement. And I'm very keen to continue that. If there's one thing that I have learned from my continued recovery in the last few months, is that we can't take anything for granted, that our time on this earth is very short and very precious, and we shouldn't be wasting it doing things that make us unhappy. We should really fill it as much as possible with all the things that bring us joy. And so ideas about potentially new purpose-driven work when I have managed to get myself out of debt will definitely include travel and things that are jumping around in my brain currently, potentially the idea of group trips for people who have long COVID, MECFS, POTS, etc., similar disabilities that are limiting to travel. Obviously, just because we live with a chronic illness doesn't mean that we aren't entitled to do things that we love, and for those who love and miss travel, I have definitely found ways to do it in the last couple of years, even though I was not fully recovered, and I would love to share that with other people. And other ideas include potentially being a travel agent or something else. I keep being drawn more and more to these conferences about travel, and every time somebody gives me an idea about something. So definitely watch this space for where that goes. And finally, I want to say that I do not regret at all the last 2.5 years that I have spent working with people with long COVID and the time and the effort that I have put into this coaching business. If I had not written that book, if I had not put together the course, I wouldn't have made the recovery that I have made, and that has been hugely beneficial to me. And obviously I have had the opportunity to touch and improve the lives of many, many people with long COVID, and I am enormously grateful for that. And I've had the opportunity to meet some wonderful people with long COVID and MECFS, and that has also been a huge part of my own recovery. Much like you, I imagine the majority of my close friends in New York City abandoned me somewhere between year 2 and year 3, if they hadn't already abandoned me right at the beginning. And so I do have very few friends left here in New York, and people with long COVID and MECFS that I have met through doing this work have really become a lifeline online, and having people who just get it and we don't have to explain things to is such an important part of our journey. And for anybody who has ever sent me a message on social media in response to my book, by email, thanking us for our content, for our services, for the things that we have done and the changes that we have made to their recovery, thank you so much. It does mean an enormous amount to me, and I'm so glad that I have been able to be a part of your lives and a part of your recovery. And really, to end, again, bringing this back to purpose. This has been a tough few months for me as I grappled with this decision, but you know that it's the right one. And there we go. Goodness. We are supposed to feel our feelings, so I'm not going to cut this here. I'm just going to let you see that we are allowed to have emotion. And it has been a tough one, but I definitely do feel immensely lighter having made this decision, and the excitement that I'm experiencing in my body, thinking about the possibilities of what I might do in the future, and especially with regard to travel, are really lifting me up, which is so important. And in terms of finding your purpose, I definitely want that for you too. So to encourage you, especially if you are in that part of your recovery journey where you are just beginning to get back into rest and digest, just beginning to experience brief moments of gratitude or acceptance or compassion, to really take advantage of that and consider where your purpose-driven work is going to take you. And it doesn't have to be anything to do with long COVID. It can be anything. As you see, who knows where I will end up, and that is okay. Wishing you a tolerable week, and I hope to see you again here soon, even if the videos might take a different format going forward. I look forward to sharing them with you. Take care.